All right, let's get this thing going. Let's welcome you. Happy Friday, first of all. Welcome to Flamesnation Live. It's Pike and Steinberg with you. Hopefully everybody is doing well on this Friday. We've got lots to talk about. Who do we got first in on the live chat today? Dallas killing it first in. Dallas, Noah, Shane, Ron, all in. More joining. Hopefully your Friday is going well so far. Hopefully you're getting ready for a great weekend. Who do we look who's on the bottom of your screen? Hello, Ryan Pike. Pike was on the big show with me today. I'm here at Sportsnet 960 Downtown Studios. Pike's already been on with me today. Yeah, let's double it up. Let's talk some Flames with Piker. What's happening?
It's a for a team that's not in the postseason, the Flames have a lot of stuff going on. It's a busy time, and I think it's shaping up to get busier. We got 5 weeks, 6 weeks until the expansion draft, and we thought that we get busy around like the 17th or 18th of July, but we're a month ahead of that or 5 weeks ahead of that period, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
There is a ton going on, and we all kind of were waiting to see if there was going to be some off-season news. We got some of that news a little earlier this week. That in just a second. Want to say as people continue to pop in on the live chat, the Flamesnation Live is brought to you by our friends at Deuce Vodka. You can always pick up Deuce Vodka wherever your fine spirits are sold in the province of Alberta, and if your liquor store is not carrying Deuce Vodka, well then shame on them. Get them to bring Deuce Vodka in stock. We bring you this program with Pike and I, Flamesnation Live, and it's always brought to you by Deuce Vodka. So, as we said, we are talking about what was a, I think pretty significant piece of news when we found out the Flames have made some changes to their coaching staff. We found out that the Flames have added Kirk Muller to the coaching staff. We found that out yesterday as well. They have promoted AHL head coach Cale McLean from the Stockton Heat to the Calgary Flames coaching staff. He's now an assistant. And two guys that were on the bench last year, no longer on the coaching staff, Marty Jelena and Ray Edwards will both move to player development roles. So what are the new roles going to be for these new head coaches? Well, new associate coach, Kirk Muller, he told us yesterday on the big show here on Sportsnet 960 The Fan what that new role is going to be. Here was Muller with us yesterday on Sportsnet 960 The Fan.
Put together, when we all meet together, he'll, confirm most of that. I anticipate probably working more with the forwards and the power play and in the offensive side of the spectrum, but it'd be a unified group. I'm sure that's how Daryl works, and I think once we all get together and have those meetings, we'll probably understand exactly the roles that he wants to delegate to us, the rest of the staff.
So that was Kirk Muller yesterday, the new associate coach of the Calgary Flames, Pike. He says that he's most likely going to be working with the forwards, most likely going to be working with the power play, and that doesn't come as much of a big surprise at all. And we also learned that Cale McLean is going to be kind of the eye in the sky. Your reaction to two new coaches and a bit of a shuffle on the coaching staff?
Well, I mean, I think this was, in a way, a long time coming in terms of, I love Marty Jelena. You love everyone who knows Marty Jelena loves Marty Jelena. But Marty Jelena has sort of been in sort of a flex role on the coaching staff pretty much since 2012. And he's managed to survive many, many coaching changes. And with Daryl Sutter coming in and probably just wanting his new group, in a lot of the interviews that I've read that Bradford Living's done the last couple of days, I think, the feeling was they just want some new perspectives, want some new eyes. So, Marty, when Marty's old gig was with he was with Nashville, he was the director of player development and player personnel there. So him moving into a development role makes a lot of sense because he's a guy a lot of players can learn a lot of things from, who's been, coached pretty much everywhere that you can coach. So he's heading back to his old gig, and for the new roles, I think I really like them. When you and I spoke earlier today, I really like the composition of the coaching staff now. I mean, your head coach is a two-time Stanley Cup winner who's, been to 3 finals and has a very long coaching resume and a fairly long playing resume. Then you have your associate coach is a guy in Kirk Muller who's played 1,300 NHL games, been to 2 cup final, playing a bunch of world championships. He's coached in a lot of big international events as a coach, as an assistant coach. He's coached as a head coach and assistant in the NHL. He has, almost 1,000 points in the National Hockey League as a player. He's run some fairly successful power plays as a coach. So if you're trying to get your, what's occasionally been a fairly underachieving forward group, if you're trying to make them find some two-way presence and some consistency, Muller seems like the type of guy to do it because he was he received votes for the Selke multiple times as a player, so that seems like a guy who would instantly have credibility. And then you have Cale McLean, when the Flames recruited him to coach, and they've recruited him twice. They recruited him once to coach in Abbotsford as an assistant, then they recruited him again to coach as an assistant in Stockton. And in his coaching career, he's won a Kelly Cup as an ECHL coach of the year and as an ECHL champion, and that's a tough league to win in because you do not, and your best players kept getting stolen by AHL teams. So that's a tough place to win. He managed to win there and have some success there as a coach. He had a lot of success in Stockton as a guy getting guys ready for the NHL. I mean, if you look at some of the guys who came in, the fact that so many of the bodies that the Flames had to shuffle into the lineup this year look NHL ready says a lot about McLean. And then you have Ryan Huska, who won 3 Memorial Cups as a player, coached went to a bunch of Memorial Cups as a coach with the Kelowna Rockets. So it's an interesting group because you have a couple, old school guys with long playing careers in Sutter and Muller, and you have a couple more youngish guys with sort of a connection to the team's youth in Huska and McLean. So I think it's a nice mix. And then you also you don't want to disparage Jason LaBarbera, whose name I keep misspelling, unfortunately, and Jamie Pringle. Both those guys have.
How are you misspelling it? Are you putting a big B? Is it?
No,
Are you doing the big B?
I put Barbera with an A instead of an E. So Jason, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I'll try to be better. I'm gonna. At least I'm not getting his first name wrong, like poor Brett Ritchie. I keep calling him Nick Ritchie for some reason. But yeah, I think if you look up and down the coaching staff, they all have sort of some complementary skills, and they all have experience both at the pro and international level that makes you think that guys who could push the team to become better. And I think we were hearing from Daryl Sutter. I think specifically, my mind immediately goes to guys like Dylan Dubé and Yusuf Alamaki, where he was kind of critical of them not really doing enough with their skill and not really elevating their games well enough. Well, here's a bunch of guys who either have personal relationships with a bunch of these young guys, having coached them very intensely at the minor league level, or guys who have just been there and done that and have rings from the National Hockey League level and have some credibility when they push them. So, if it doesn't work, you can't really fault the framework that they're putting in, because on paper, this seems like a staff that really, probably more so than the Flames have had in a while, seems really amped up to really put the screws to the players and get the most out of them.
I like it. I mean, first of all, cool little connection. First coach, head coach that Elias Lindholm ever had in the NHL was Kirk Muller when he was the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. Very similar players, two-way centers. I like that. But look, Muller is an experienced coach. This guy is an experienced associate. He has head coaching experience. I think that is a good add. I am so happy for Cale to get that chance. And I have only good things to say about Martin Jelena. I wish he could have stayed with the coaching staff. He's going to do a hell of a job in the development role. So, and Ray, I've got a lot of good things to say with Ray about Ray as well. There was always a wonder whether or not he was going to go back to his prior role in player development. So that is the coaching change story. I think the Kirk Muller ad is a really good one for the organization, though. Get your questions in on the live chat. It's Pike and Steinberg on Flamesnation Live. I see one from Steve. I see one from Benny. We'll get to those as the show goes along, but I want to update you as to where we're sitting right now with this Flames roster and what we're talking about when it comes to free agents. So the the one I wanted to be at the top of the page ended up moving below. Hold on, let's see if that works. The one that I wanted, I've got a picture of Manjapani winning gold at the World Championships with Team Canada. That's good news too. That's up at the Nations right now. Let's see if this one, if you know what, Pike, I just labeled them wrong like a dolt. There we go. That's the one that I wanted. I've got a picture up of Alexander Yelesin, who is signed with KHL's Lokomotiv Yaroslavl. Hat tip to Pike, who broke that story on Twitter. Yelesin is going back to the KHL. So if I get this straight, Pike got me on the radio. 3 guys we have determined where they're going to be next year. So Yelesin back to the KHL. Joachim Nordstrom signing with CSKA Moscow in the KHL. And CJ Lerby has gone back to Europe as well. Pike got me with that on the radio today. So 3 guys, and I appreciate that. So 3 guys have already gone back. The only guy that played last year in the NHL was, of course, Joachim Nordstrom. But he's gone back to the KHL, or has gone to the KHL to join CSKA Moscow. There is a thought that maybe Nikita Nesterov might go as well in terms of UFAs and where UFAs might be going. Are we starting to see this roster take shape a little bit for next season?
I mean, obviously, there's going to be constant speculation until something or nothing happens about Brad Treliving making a big splash in the summer, because the summer is when Brad tends to do his dirty work. But we've heard chatter potentially about Michael Stone being retained. I think that would be a decent move, because he was everything you'd ask Michael Stone to be as a 6th defenseman on the 3rd pairing this year. If you want to stick him with Connor Mackey or Yusuf Alamaki on the 3rd pairing next year as like a 6-7, I have a lot of patience for that, because I think he earned a chance to have that role next year. And for those of you screaming at your computers, if he gets re-signed, it won't be to a big ticket deal. Like, you're looking at like maybe $800,000 a year. So a smidge above league minimum. So it's something that if it doesn't work out, they can sit him, they can bury him. It's not going to handcuff them at all. Same kind of, I'd imagine we're going to see the same kind of deal for Brett Ritchie when he resigns. The Flames need to sign one more player for expansion draft exposure purposes. So I imagine that Brett Ritchie is sort of the main candidate for that, based on how he was used under Daryl Sutter. And, much like Sutter, he was fine. Much like Stone, he was fine. Did he set the world on fire? No. Did he look completely out of place? Well, also no. So if you park him, set him, sign him to like an $800,000 or so deal. If he's terrible, you can bench him. You can send him to the minors. There's, I have a lot of time for, let's be blunt, replacement level guys on replacement level contracts. So I think those 2 guys performed well enough to deserve a shot, and I think they're going to probably both get a shot. But if you looked up and down the UFA list, I mean, let's just do a quick skim, Patrick, over at NHL numbers. I mean, Louis Domingue, probably gone. He wants to be an NHL goalie. He didn't.
Bye, Louis.
Goalie. Artyom Zagadulin, he's an RFA, but is he going to be a backup? I don't think so. Is he going to be the starter in Stockton? I mean, you got Dustin Wolf coming up, going pro after winning his 2nd straight Goalie of the Year award in the Western League. You want to give him 1,001 starts if you can, and then you have potentially Tyler Parsons coming in and being his backup or mentor or tandem mate or whatever. So I don't see where Zagadulin fits. So I don't know what they do with him. Nikita Nesterov, we already talked about. Who else is there even as UFAs? I mean, Buddy Robinson, probably gone. Levo, I don't know why he would want to be back. I mean, he was a healthy scratch at times, and generally speaking, if you're a healthy scratch, you don't re-sign as UFA. And even if you look further down the list, I mean, Alex Petrovic, maybe if he wants to be an ace in the AHL and wear a letter in Stockton, but I don't know what his NHL upside is. So we're going to see. It's going to be interesting because, in terms of in terms of RFAs, the Flames don't have a lot of really tough decisions to make. The guys they're gonna qualify in I think the qualifying deadline is, I think, the 25th, the Monday after the entry draft. but they have to qualify Parsons for expansion draft reasons before then. It's very convoluted this year, but like I don't know. Yusuf Alamaki's going to get a decent deal, but he's not going to get rich right now. Dylan Dubé's going to get a new deal, but he's not going to get rich. Maybe or maybe not. You qualify Dominic Simone again.
Nope, I don't know why you would. I don't know why you would on the Simone front. I really don't.
Yeah, he's another guy that I don't think they qualify him, and I think if I'm Dominic Simone, maybe I look at Europe.
There's a few guys that I think you could talk about going to. And here's the thing with the UFAs. And even some of the more veteran RFAs, if you're the Flames, like I truly believe, everything I'm led to believe is that they're looking to go younger in their bottom six and their third pairing. And okay, sure, you got to sign a forward to meet expansion requirements. So there's Richie if you want it to be him. And if you want to re-sign Stone as an insurance policy, sure. But the more that you're signing veteran UFAs as potential replacements or potential insurance policies, the more temptation you have to play them over young players. And the more that takes away from chances for Pelche or Zeri or Phillips or Ruzicka or Valimaki or Mackey. I think those guys need to play this year. Give those guys the chance. And that's what I want to see. I think that is the way they're going to go, and I hope that is the way they end up going.
And I'm going to throw out a name for you that I think Daryl might fall in love with if he sees him at training camp and if he's healthy and stays healthy. Martin Pospisil. Martin Pospisil, the only question I have is his skating, because he's a big dude, and big dudes tend to not be great and terribly mobile. But he's big, he plays mean, and he's bigger than Brett Ritchie. He might have slightly better skill than Brett Ritchie. We still need to see him, but over a full season. But he was dynamite in the AHL this season, and he was playing hurt. So if he can get, he had a shoulder surgery. He was playing with a shoulder injury, and then had his knee blown out from under him by a player whose name I forget from Laval in a really nasty hit. But if he can stay healthy, I mean, he is a very Suttery type player where, as Brad Treliving often joked, he could find trouble in church. So he seems like the type of guy that, plunk him on your fourth line, let him cause some havoc, and maybe he'll help you out. But I think there's a lot of guys like that in the organization. I think there's, off the top of my head, goaltender, I think they're going to go external. 6-7 defensemen, I think Valimaki, Mackey are both probably penciled into the NHL roster. Barring losing someone off the roster in expansion, I think the defensive group is probably set, but you never know. Forward group, if they lose somebody off the NHL roster at the expansion draft, it's probably off the forward group. But at this point, if you ask me to bet on it, I'm guessing they lose one of Shillington, Phillips, or Godin, and maybe they send a pick to Seattle, like a third or fourth rounder, to convince them not to take Giordano. But I mean, if you're Seattle, do you want to give the Flames $7 million of cap relief? I maybe rather the Flames keep Giordano for better or for worse there. So that means the forward group, there's maybe 4 or 5 spots up for grabs there, depending. And Pelche, Zeri, Ruzicka, Godin, if he's still here, there's a lot of guys knocking on the door. So I think it's going to be a really interesting training camp, a really interesting summer, and it's going to be the kind of preseason that, and even a couple weeks of the regular season, where people will have their lineup cards out going, where the hell is number 63? It's Adam Ruzicka, by the way. Adam Ruzicka is 63. So
just a quick, this time it's the right slide. Quick appreciation for Andrew Manjapani as well. We had him on the big show. It was a great conversation. He truly, he was taken aback by the amount of support he got from Flames fans. So just again, appreciation to Andrew Manjapani. What an absolute stud that kid is. And here I am, right for it right now. Sign him 6 times 5 tomorrow. 6 years, $5 million. Do it tomorrow. That is my. There's Rich Winter. You don't need to be his agent anymore. I just negotiated his contract right there. I think Rich and Brad would probably do more than just that. But we don't have to spend too much time on it because our last one Pike. We came on right after Manj had won gold. But, 6-year deal. Do it right now. You might as well. Here's 30 mil, Manj. What else do you need to learn about this kid?
I think the thing that says everything you need to know about him, our buddy Wes Gilbertson over did a feature on him after he won the medal and talked to his parents, and he won the MVP award, and he was on the phone with his parents going, I don't know how I'm going to fit this thing in my luggage, because they sort of give you this wacky crystal football thing, and he had no idea how to fit in his luggage. And for a guy who he didn't get drafted in the OHL, he was a walk-on. He had to work his butt off to get into the OHL. He was a second-year draftee in the NHL in the sixth round, 166th overall. Basically had to do everything the hard way. There's a lot of Mark Giordano in Andrew Manjapani in terms of both the Italian names and heritage, but also just sort of the humbleness and the work ethic, and just sort of really interesting guys to talk to when you get a chance. And there's so many people who are going to be rooting for Mangiapane just because of he had to work his butt off and work his way up, and he's done so well at every rung of the ladder. And I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. I think he's just going to get better. So
I think a couple 30-goal seasons not out of the question.
He barely got power play time last year, and he was easy. Like him and Lindholm are neck and neck for even strength scoring.
He was on pace for 26 goals this year, so 27 almost over an 82 game season.
Power play, and what does he get then over an 80 season?
Exactly.
It's 30 isn't a stretch. I think 30 is a safe bet at this point.
Okay, let's get to the live chat. Let's go back to the top. We'll start with a question from Steve. We'll go rapid fire through these ones. Don't have to go because we got to go rapid fire. Want to get to all of them and don't want to keep you here all night. Steve asks, Pat, there was a post on Twitter saying the Flames are one of the smallest analytics staffs in the league. Will that change? I under this management group, I don't know if I see that changing. Like I certainly believe that Brad Treliving and company do put some into analytics, but I don't think that they are heavily analytics driven. I don't know if I see that changing dramatically. However, I will say that Daryl Sutter is a big time believer in shot volumes and scoring chances in that type. So it wouldn't surprise me if they add to it a little bit here as we move forward with Daryl Sutter as the head coach.
Yeah, and Daryl is the kind of guy usually in media availabilities, you have some dorky person like Pat or myself dropping in some analytics into our questioning. Daryl brings it up on his own. Like to things that aren't even asked about, in analytics space, he brings it in. Like he's a believer. That's not the only thing he believes in, but he's definitely not a skeptic.
Benny, what is the top free agent player the Flames should target and sign in late July? I'll give you a second to come up with one because I know who mine is. I don't think it'll be a bank breaker. This is not one that is going to put the team into a different stratosphere. Philippe Deno, he is a pending UFA, and Deno may not get there because of the postseason that he's had. He has been very much in the spotlight for his shutdown job against some top forwards. But Philippe Deno, if you could get him, I like him slotting in as a potential Derek Ryan replacement and a guy that, who knows? Michael Backlund is a core member of this team, and we know that this core is going to be shaken up, or at least we think it should be. Maybe there's a potential Backlund replacement down the road. So Philippe Deno, that's an interesting one to me.
That's Pike. So good. I feel bad that you went first. Just skipping the list. There's not. Honestly, it's a weird year for UFAs. I mean, I think maybe. I'm curious how much Thomas Tatar would cost, but I think that'd be a challenge.
Tatar.
I think the big challenge is like the thing the Flames need, like inexpensive, reliable right shot forwards are the things everyone's looking for. I mean, Kyle Palmieri isn't going to be cheap. Maybe you go with Brandon Sutter if you can get him cheap, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Like that would be it would be interesting to have a Sutter family reunion. But the last time there was a Sutter in the organization at the same time as Daryl traded him. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be a fascinating summer. I'd be willing to think that the Flames are going to do more interesting things via trade than via free agency. But there's a lot of interesting sort of mid-level guys, and I think the thing that's going to be interesting this year is a lot of teams are going to be sort of experiencing the same kind of thing the Flames are, where the Flames have a lot of money tied up in their core guys, and they have the guys they're investing in, and then they have the up-and-comers, the guys on entry-level contracts who are as cheap as they're going to get, and that doesn't leave a lot of money left for the so-called middle class, like your third liners, your complimentary guys, like the Josh Levos of the world. So could the Flames find some value at the Josh Levo level? They would probably like to free up some free money on three guys, make money on 100K and praying per player. But I don't know. I feel mad. Phil Deno feels a very Flamesy pick line of Pelche, Deno, and Backlund.
Yeah. Like how's that for a shutdown line, right?
Not bad.
I like that idea. Okay. I don't know what's going on with my audio. Sorry about that. It was really quiet. Now it's really loud, so I apologize on that. What is happening right now I apologize on the audio. One more. This one comes actually one more topic and then we'll wrap up. Josh writes, I love the coaching changes. I think this means there likely won't be any big changes to the core, which I'm fine with as well. It's going to be a big change in playing philosophy and adding without subtracting. I'm not 100% convinced on that. Because Kevin writes, with the addition of the two new coaches, what do you think will be the biggest change we'll see in terms of style of play compared to what we saw since Sutter took over? I'm not expecting anything different, Pike, from the way that they were playing under Sutter down the stretch to the way they want to play to start next season. I really don't. And that's why I still think we're going to see some significant changes to this team's core.
I agree with you. And I think, if anything, the Flames might – the fact you have a full training camp, like we're not going to have one of those 2-week deals then throw people into the regular season. We're going to have, as best we know, full training camp, full rookie camp, full everything. No development camp, I don't think, because I just don't know how that would work. But, for everyone, the normal suspects will be here by mid-September, mid-October the season will start. So Daryl's going to have a month to reinforce stuff that he tried to reinforce in exit meetings and every practice, and B, for the kids who are coming up, just figure out who can fit in the system. It's not like, it's basically the difference between inheriting a furnished apartment, moving into one that has no furniture, where Daryl had to figure out what furniture he wanted to keep and what she didn't, and now he's gone and thrown the stuff he doesn't like in a storage locker, and now he's coming in with an idea of what the team doesn't have that he wants. And, I think it'll be fascinating, because I think there's going to be players that he falls in love with in camp that break camp with the team and play a little bit that we probably completely have no idea of yet, because, Daryl hasn't seen a lot of these guys play in person on a daily basis before.
Yep. All right, well, that was a good Friday edition of the program. Once again, we're brought to you by our friends at Deuce Vodka. Check us out after the fact as well. We are now in audio podcast form as well. Steinberg and Pike on Flamesnation Live. Thank you to our friends at Deuce Vodka. Thank you for watching and listening. Get your second shot. Get your first shot if you haven't got it already, and hopefully we're back to normal very, very soon. Have a great weekend, Pike. We'll talk to you next week. Be kind, stay safe, and have yourself a wonderful Saturday and Sunday. It's been a Friday night edition of Flames Nation Live. Thanks, everybody.